What is the best psychological trick you ever used? For me, it's owning up to my mistakes with full, if not excessive, ownership. It tends to disarm the offended. Being humble, teachable, and accountable for your mistakes and wrongdoings. It's amazing how you can diffuse someone's anger by saying sorry and taking ownership. Defensiveness escalates. Habits are the most powerful thing. If you want to build up a good habit studying, writing, meditation, whatever, it's okay to start really small and manageable. Just make sure you do it consistently at the same time and place every day. Eventually, your body just feels it's normal and right to sit down and do whatever. Then you can slowly keep building up the time you commit to the activity. This has been more useful and powerful than trying to motivate myself every time, doing a lot of self-care to be in a good place, or finding willpower or whatever. Flattery will get you somewhere, contrary to the popular cliché that states otherwise. Hey, you're one of the smartest people I know. Can you help me figure this out? I usually keep my mouth shut when I feel someone is lying to me to get them to overshare. They will naturally fill the silence. Giving kids a choice in the small things, the green shirt or the red shirt today, brush your teeth before or after getting into pajamas. Journaling clears my head when I am overthinking, structures my thoughts and makes them more comprehensible to me and others. Meaning, not only can I better understand myself, I can also communicate easier. And when others have it easier understanding me, it gets easier to make a connection. As a manager, I had a senior engineer that could not stop running his mouth. So, whenever I needed to disseminate information on the DL, I would just tell Ray a secret. It worked perfectly for several years. So, a bunch of nerds are playing the game Werewolf. There's like 20 of us, so some of the really rare and obscure cards are in play. I notice a trend in the first round. Without fail, the first person to make an accusation of any kind is the one voted to be killed off. Beginning of a new game, my role, I forget the name, means I win if the villagers vote me to be executed. I accuse a random person right away. Everyone votes me as the werewolf. I die and win the game in the very first round. It's seriously been 10 years and I'm still proud of that one. I once convinced a mirror it was the fairest of them all, just to boost its self-esteem. Owning up to things that didn't work out and acknowledging the reason for it. Taking it as an opportunity to improve rather than getting upset and defensive about it while I try to justify my stupidity. It enables me to grow and develop as a person, acknowledging my flaws and accepting them. Also, understanding that anger is a tool to try to force control over someone. It takes the timidity away from being yelled at and enables me to consciously and calmly respond to the anger being targeted at me. It was incredibly important to acknowledge that when I worked customer service. Humans are cyclically imperfect and will always make some form of error or mistake at some point in time. It is learning from those errors that makes us even better. I don't use this, but I assume gaslighting is pretty effective. When you don't know something, someone asks you, always admit it and present a possible solution. Oh, I'm not sure, but I know Wanda might, let's ask her. It puts you on their team, and they will trust you more when you do know the answer. Alternatively, when you need to ask someone for information, always present a possible answer. Hey, I can't remember what to do here, is it XYZ? Even if you're wrong, it shows you've put thought into it and are trying. If you're right, then they know you want to be sure. I work in an office. When people stop by my desk and refuse to leave me alone, I will get up and refill my water bottle while they are talking to me. Instead of walking back to my desk, I walk them to theirs. They instinctively will sit down. Then I just sever the convo and get back to work. I hide all my red flags as green ones by being upfront about my past, which allows the other person to feel safe, which will allow them to open up more close. Second is, am ever confronted about something, if I can't diffuse it, I drop a bomb about something else I did, whether it's fabricated or not, which will allow me to derail the conversation another route. Yes, I'm toxic. I just had knee replacement surgery and have had trouble sleeping. I found the lie perfectly still for 15 minutes trick actually works for me. When dealing with a difficult or upset person or a disagreement, I approach with gentleness, and I always lead with listening and validating how they feel. When you make a person feel heard and understood off the bat, they usually calm down and get less defensive. If it's something where I'm countering them or trying to give advice, I don't tell them what to do or what they should have done. I make suggestions or ask questions, e.g., I get why you feel that way. Do you think maybe X person might have meant something else? And respond accordingly. Or relating to them only if it's appropriate. If you can relate to someone without making the conversation about you, and in particular do it in a humbling way. When that happened to me, I did why, and honestly, it was a terrible idea. Lol, it can make a big difference. Reverse psychology when dealing with unruly customers. Works for the most part. Asking people to do favors for you makes them like you more. Combine that with owning up to your mistakes and using their name in conversation, and you've made yourself a new friend, or at least someone who will do what you ask and doesn't hate you. We wanted to buy a tent for over $2,000, and the salesman wanted payment up front and the tent then would be delivered in the shop in 2 weeks. I asked if he had a wedding ring, and I would keep it and hand it over in 2 weeks as the tent was delivered. Well, he pre-ordered the tent, and after 2 months, we paid as the tent was handed over to us.